Welcome back, I'm Captain Xavier, and somebody recently asked me if I was going to review these, and I did want to because they are neat looking. They're a, not a new concept, but it's a new attempt at using an old concept, and I'm hoping this one actually will work out fairly well. This is the Adventure Force Desperado, and it is a double action pistol, which is something we haven't seen a lot of, and I don't think we've seen it in a while in a particularly successful iteration. So we're going to take a look at these. They're currently in package. Just got them. Ain't never been sniffed. So I'm going to get them open, and I'm going to modify one of them slightly, and then I'm going to do some tests and tinker with them, and then I might modify them some more. So here we go. Right, so in the box you get the blaster and 12 darts, 2 full reloads, very generous of them. And as I said, it is a double action blaster. So you simply pull the trigger, and it rotates the cylinder and fires. And it rotates the cylinder early on, so it's completely inlined by the time it actually fires. And you use, well, I can get all 3 fingers on the trigger, though. If you go with, or all 4, if you go with 3, you got a little more stabilization, maybe. The downside to this style of mechanism is that it tends to be very inaccurate, because as you squeeze the barrel, the muzzle tends to wander around on you. We have seen things like this before. One of the early ones I can think of was, I want to say, the Snapfire 8, which was an 8-shot revolver that had a trigger that was actually adjustable. They unfortunately had a tendency to break, which was tragic. We've also seen it in things like the Nail Biter and one of the Alien Menace, the Void Caster, I think it was called. And then I want to say in the Dart Fire, which was a combination squirt gun Nerf blaster, also had it. And Busby recently had one that had a big old grip like this one. But I don't think I've ever seen them, haven't seen them in a revolver this size in a while. So I'm hoping they work out well, because they can be used one-handed. And they have a much higher rate of fire than a hammer-primed blaster. So they have some stuff going for them, which is pretty cool if they work very well. Right now, the prime is not bad. I can easily prime it, but as you can see, it's kind of hard to keep them on target. We're going to see if you go slower, it's easier. And you can partially prime it and hold it right before the trigger pull, and that also seems to help keep the muzzle from moving around. We're going to take it to the range and see if I can actually hit anything with it slowly and at high rates of fire. And we are going to do some modifications. I've already done one. There's a little tab that hangs down in front of the barrels, and I have no idea what the purpose of that is, other than, I guess, to prevent you from... It prevents you from muzzle loading, which I'm not sure that's a good thing, but apparently it does slow down the blaster a little bit, because there's a little bit of friction, because it is spring-loaded and pushing against the side of the blaster. Might also affect flight path. I don't know. So I've took one out, left one in. We're going to tinker. We're going to do some tests with that, and then I'm going to possibly try upgrading the spring, depending on the performance they're currently getting. If they're getting decent performance, I might leave it as is, because I don't want a heavier prime, because that's going to make them harder to use. You won't be able to use it as quickly. We'll see. But we'll start with Phipps, because I'm in here. Then we'll take it to the range. Plink a bit. It's a bit damp today, but it doesn't seem to be raining at the moment. Here we go. Right. I've got the unmodified one here. Still has that little dangly tab thing. We'll see what kind of Phipps we're getting. I missed. 68. 68. 66. 67. 74. Relatively consistent and not terrible. We're looking at elite, numbers. Let's take a look at the other one. 77. 71. 76. 68. 74. And 70. So a little bit higher. Someone had told me it'd be a 10 FPS difference. I did not get a 10 FPS difference, but I did. It is slightly higher on average, maybe 3 or so. Not bad though. Not bad. I like it. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and take the tab out of this one. Well, actually, no. I want to see if it affects the flight path. So we're gonna go to the range and we're gonna plink, and then we'll come back and we might open them up and take a look and see. We might upgrade them. We'll see. The prime is light enough. I could go with a slightly heavier prime if it could get me another 10, 15 FPS. I wouldn't hate that. I'd love to get closer to 100, but we'll see. If they become unusable because the prime is too heavy, then I'm gonna go to the range and then I'll do stuff. Right, I'm here on the range. I have the unmodified one here. We're gonna see if we can hit anything at all. Can we hit the 25? Three out of 6, that's not too bad. Let's try the modified one. I got a bottle! Wasn't aiming for the bottle, but I got it anyway. Yeah, not too bad. I'm reload a bit. And we're gonna try again. The reload is fairly ambidextrous. I do appreciate that. The cylinder does rotate one particular way, but you can reload from either side, which is very nice. Rapid fire! 4! I got 4 hits on rapid fire. I am impressed. I'm a dual wield. I'm gonna reload and dual wield. I'll be back in a second. Dual wield! Oh. I swear that never happens. Alright, let's go modify him. See what we can do with him. Right, well the performance is about what I was expecting, given that these are, you know, $9 Adventure Force blasters from Walmart. 70 FPS, but I was actually able to hit the target a little better than I was expecting, even at rapid fire. So I'm hoping we can get a little bit more power out of them. I'd love to get up into the 90s, but I would also be happy getting up into the 80s. Any increase will be appreciated as long as it doesn't come at too much of a cost. And the cost that I'm concerned about is making it less accurate, because if I increase the spring load, it may become more difficult to stay on target while priming. And I don't want to increase the spring load so much that it's unpleasant to use. Right now, it's really, really easy for me to use. But we'll see what happens if we try increasing that. Nothing else. I want to take a look at this and see exactly how it works. Well, it's not a huge plunger tube, so there's gonna be a limit to what we can get out of it. But I wouldn't be surprised if we actually have a fair amount of compression to work with. That is a fairly long spring. Trick is gonna be finding a spring in the bin that's roughly the same diameter. K25 is too wide. I think K26 is probably going to be too wide, but let's check anyway. Oh, it might not be. Oh, would you look at that? Would you look at that? K26 is going to be a lot heavier and have a lot more or higher frequency, but I mean, it'll fit. So we gotta try it. Hopefully it doesn't break the internals. I'd really be sad if it broke something. They seem robust. They're not a cheap feeling plastic, so that's nice. Technically it works, but it's no longer one-handed. The internals are warping to a point that it's not releasing unless you've got another hand to really force it. So yeah, K26, as I figured, is too heavy to be viable. So I'm gonna swap it to something lighter. Right, well, after a boatload of tinkering, tried a whole bunch of different springs, couldn't get one that I absolutely loved. I definitely ascertained that you can upgrade it and get some better performance, but I just don't have exactly the right spring. So I put the stock spring back in. I did go ahead and take the other dart door looking thing out of the other one, so they now both don't have that. And I dig them. I'm going to check one thing real quick. Will they fit in a double AK pouch? How well will they fit in one of these? They fit pretty well. So you can use a AA K pouch as a holster. They will also obviously would fit in any of the various universal holsters that are out there. And I personally think these would make fabulous HVZ sidearms because one-handed, decent rate of fire, easy to reload, 6 rounds instead of the Hammershot's usual 5, though I run 6-round Hammershots. But definitely good for a secondary, in my opinion, for HVZ. Anything you can use one-handed and that doesn't require batteries is actually really, really nice. There aren't a whole lot of those, other than, you know, all the Hammer Prime blasters, but these have a higher rate of fire than Hammer Prime blasters. So, yeah, I would definitely recommend these as an HVZ sidearm. I don't know if I will change out my Hammershots for these, but I might give it a try at an event and see how they work out. Anyway, there's my thoughts on the Adventure Force Desperado. Definitely the best double-action pistols that I think I've ever seen. So far, they seem stout. We'll see how long they last. They're less complicated than the Snapfire 8, so I suspect they will last longer. But time will tell. I'm sure someone will eventually make a good spring update for them. People will come out with various kits and stuff for them if they prove to be popular. So, yeah, there's my thoughts. Take it or leave it. Thank you for watching. Aha!